Hey guys, my name is Loveless, and we are going to be reading another story. This one's going to be kind of fluffy a little bit, like probably pinch of angst just because of the whole situation, but it's mostly fluff. And, like, just as I promised. Also, I did not expect that other video, the 100% fluff, or the tooth whitening fluff fic to, like, kind of blow up, sort of. But also, I was noticing some, like, dislikes, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why? And then I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute. The story is gay. Yeah, that's why. But to be honest, I don't give a fuck. Because I like BL and stuff like that. So if you don't like it, you could just say the don't recommend this channel and like go away. I don't always put everything that's always gay, but when I do, like, I'm giving y'all good quality stories, man. But enough with that. This one is called Number One Dad. The author is a bookaholic underscore alert. So let's get straight into it. It has been 12 years since the infamous villain magnet, Class 1A, or rather 3A, graduated. Time truly flies when you're enjoying yourself. They had earned a lot of monikers during their time at UA. Problematic Class 1A, the egotistic class, courtesy of Monoma, etc. Yet for Aizawa, they were just his hell class, his pride and joy, the one class that managed to warm themselves into his heart, having no intentions of ever leaving. He couldn't seem to be able to part with them, even after they become pro heroes. It made it more difficult to say goodbye when they all take up the habit of calling him dad. Aizawa would deny it with his life, but he did tear up at their graduation, not wanting to let them go just yet. Just one more day, one more lesson, one more class dinner, one more movie gay marathon, one more. Aizawa took great pride in the fact that the top 20 hero billboard included all of his Limelight hero students. The first time he stepped into Class 1A after they graduated, a wave of nostalgia crashed on him, seeing new faces in place of his kids. The feelings were mutual, and his kids left no opportunity to come and check up on him. Randomly popping into his class and causing an uproar was a class favorite, forcing him to cut short the lesson. The few first years as sidekicks were difficult, and they were swarmed with work. The Baki squad and Deku squad often kidnapped Aizawa for small dinners now and then, but once they become full-fledged pro heroes, Aizawa saw them a lot more often. They made it mandatory to have a family dinner every month, and nobody was to miss it. They were not just his students, literally. Some of them were legally his. He couldn't stand by and watch his kids suffer. The first one to be adopted was Shoto. Ever since he failed his provincial license exam, he started going home often, more like forced into Endeavor's car every evening, barely making it into the dorms before curfew. The signs were subtle at first, but on retrospection, red flags were everywhere. They just ignored it. Shoto flinched every time someone grabbed his shoulder, ready to fight back, cowering every time someone extended a hand, as if bracing himself from a slap. He was worn out to the bone and dreading evenings when the car pulled up in front of the dorms. The final stroke was when he had a panic attack in the kitchen, with the kettle shrieking in the background. Shoto paled, shivered at the sight, his breath becoming shallow, and he tried to fold in on himself and shrink. Ida ran to fetch Aizawa, burning the carpet in the process. Aizawa kicked himself for not noticing his suffering earlier. What kind of teacher was he, ignoring his pain long enough till it pushed him into a panic attack? After Shoto calmed down and explained the situation, Aizawa saw red. His hands trembled as he barely kept his rage in check. The entire class had dogpiled on Aizawa to stop him from murdering the number one hero. Midoriya had to hold him down with one for all. Sato had to activate his sugar mode, and yet Aizawa managed to drag himself to the door. It was the first time he had seen Aizawa so mad, even Bakugo didn't want to stand in front of him. Aizawa wasted no time in removing Shoto from that hellhole. The speed with which he got the paperwork ready was scary. It was difficult going against Endeavor, but Nezu managed to pull a few strings. Shoto had a restraining order against him, and he was officially free. Aizawa and Yamada wasted no time in adopting Shoto. He took up the Aizawa Yamada last name, severing any bonds left with Endeavor. Next was Hitoshi. He had been stubborn and refused to tell Aizawa anything about his home life. He often showed up for practice with raw scratches near his jaw, suspiciously like the one Bakugo had when he was muzzled at the sports festival. Took some persuasion, and he finally broke down, revealing everything to his teacher. Needless to say, Shoto got another elder brother. Hitoshi also gave up the name Shinso the moment he was welcomed into his new family. Aizawa was not big on favoritism, but if he had to pick his favorite from Class 1A, it had to be Denki. That boy was a ray of sunshine, and you couldn't even be mad at him, even if you tried. He had noticed how touch-starved the boy was. His parents seemed least bothered about their son, barely invested in his life. They weren't even worried when Aizawa told them about the villain attacks. Denki just blows everything out of proportion. Don't pay him any attention, they said. Denki glowed whenever he received any affirmation from any of his teachers. Aizawa made it a point to ruffle his hair every time he passed his desk. Aizawa desperately wanted to get him away from his neglectful family. At first he thought they were just busy and didn't mean to ignore their son. But then Sero had informed him once that Kaminari was about 10. He nearly died of starvation. His parents had forgotten about him and gone on vacation. He stayed completely alone for a week. That is the reason why he keeps his phone in his sight. He had suffered enough to know not to rely easily on others. The other reason Aizawa didn't adopt him was Hitoshi had a crush on him. The revelation was hilarious. Hitoshi had trouble still opening up to his new parents. Eventually, Shoto had to spill the beans, which resulted in a very comical/awkward dinner conversation. I swear to God, Hitoshi, if you don't end up marrying him, I will disown you. Eri was never a doubt. Like, it was the most natural thing in the world. She seemingly blended into the family. All of his kids settled down with their families in their early 20s. A hero's life, however rewarding, was unpredictable, and you never know which day will be your last. The countless near-death experiences were lessons. The countless near-death experiences were lessons enough. They wasted no time in getting hitched and having kids. They did not want to take any regrets with them to their grave. This is the story of their happily ever after. Bakugo Midoriya Kai was buzzing with excitement. The candy store near his house was having a sale, and he finally managed to convince his dad to take him on the weekend. His best friend, Aizawa Yamada Sana, was already at the store waiting for him. She was Denki and Hitoshi's daughter. Getting impatient, he decided to leave for the store on his own. It was just down the street, and his grandpa would be there. What could possibly go wrong? Turns out, everything. He walked down the street, one hand firmly in his pocket, making sure not to lose the money. He spotted Sana standing with Aizawa in front of the candy shop, waving to both of them, and ran down the street when he heard a shriek. A mask-clad person was running about the streets causing mayhem, toppling the fruit carts, making bicycles lose their balance. The masked person stumbled upon a rock, shooting a light beam in Kai's direction. Everything happened in a blink of an eye. Aizawa unraveled his capture weapon, trying to get his grandson. Kai! His grandfather's shout was the last thing he heard before he tumbled into a portal. Aizawa sighed, massaging his temples. His class had been calm recently, very calm. It's very unnerving, and he knew them better than anyone else. It was the calm before the storm. He reviewed everything that happened in the last few months. Bakugo and Midoriya had their fight at Ground Beta 5 months back and haven't fought since. Yet. He should be prepared to ground them again. He was walking towards the dorm when out of nowhere a portal opened up right above his head. Was it the League of Villains again? He braced himself, capture weapon ready to attack. He didn't expect a child, no more than 5 years old, to fall through it. With a horrifying crack, the boy came crashing down, landing on his elbow. Aizawa rushed to the little boy, who started screaming, tears flowing down his cheeks. Aizawa lifted him, careful not to cause him more pain. The little boy nestled into his arms, getting snot all over his shorts. It's okay. I got you. He kept whispering reassurances to the little guy, trying to walk as fast as possible he could without jostling him around too much. Even after they reached, he refused to let Aizawa go, latching onto him with a death grip. He was inconsolable, withering in pain. As soon as Recovery Girl healed him, his wails subsided to small sobs and sniffles. He was still shaken from the ordeal, calming down. He turned and looked at Aizawa. Was that recognition in his eyes? Papa Sho! Some villain threw me into a portal! Aizawa looked over his shoulder to see if he was talking to someone else. He slowly pointed to himself, question hanging mid-air. The child raised an eyebrow. Yes, Grandpa, I'm talking to you. I think the villain hit me with a teleportation quirk. 1 second I was at the candy store with you, Sana, and now I am... He looked around. At UA? How did you guys reach here so soon? He recognized the infirmary. His papa had been here way too many times, even after going pro. Kid, who are you? Seriously, Grandpa Sho, I just fell from a height of a tree and you're playing games with me now? Why are you talking to me like you know me? And I am not anybody's grandfather. He was only 31, for God's sake. Consciously, he touched his hair. He had found a gray hair just the day before. Oh, come on. I know you're not that old, but you gave up on trying to correct us after Hero was born. I am still confused. Who are you? Who's Hero? Fine. I'll fucking language humor you. He continued as if Aizawa never spoke in between. My name is Bakugo Midoriya Kai, son of Pro Hero, Ground Zero, and Deku. Your ex-students' pseudo-adopted kids. Is the dementia kicking in early, old man? He answered, exasperated and tired. Recovery Girl helped him into his arm brace. You are Bakugo and Problem Child's son? Kai nodded. Why was he so surprised? Recovery Girl came back with blood tests. Something wasn't right. Honey, can you tell me what year it is? She asked softly, not wanting to alarm him. It's 2032. No, kid. It's 2021. What? Kai's eyes widened. He traveled back? How many years was that? He hated math. He's not lying. He has Bakugo and Midoriya's genetics, 50-50. Even if he is their son, how is that even possible? I was a quirk baby, Kai piped in. Okay, as an underground hero, I don't get to say this a lot, but this is really weird. He scratched his cheek. Bakugo and Midoriya getting married and having a kid? This day just keeps getting weirder and weirder. So, I'm guessing that the villain's quirk wasn't a teleportation one. That's right, kid. You time traveled. I just wanted candy. Wait, how old are my parents? 16. First year of UA. Kai winced, having heard all the stories about how Problem Child 1 and 2 were at each other's throats during this year. Yikes. That means Daddy is still in denial and an angsty boom boom boy. He made tiny explosion gestures on boom boom for emphasis. Aizawa snorted. This kid had a point. He finally took a good look at the kid. Blonde hair, red eyes. He must be a Bakugo, but the face was soft around the edges, undeniably from Midoriya's side. So, Grandpa Sho, I'm guessing we aren't telling both Daddy and Papa? It has to only be one of them. I look like Daddy more, so I can pass as only Bakugo for now. Otherwise, he'll blow up the place screaming, I'm not fucking married to shitty Deku, and ignore and push him away, and quite possibly erase me out of existence. But also, now he wouldn't be too pissed because he practically chose my name back in middle school itself. I know such a dork. He clearly is the sappy, embarrassing parent. Breathe, kid. Aizawa blinked. Oh, that's definitely Midoriya's kid. Right. Sorry, I lost track of my mumbling. He sheepishly grinned, scratching the back of his neck. I can see that. He huffed out a laugh. So, let's go. He hopped down the chair. Aizawa instinctively went to steady him. Careful. Kai held Aizawa's hand out of habit, and Aizawa surprisingly found it natural. The only other kid he's walked is Eri. So, how is everyone at this age, Grandpa? You usually have lots of stories of how the class was chaotic. We loved hearing our parents act so stupid. Like, as pro heroes, they have this image, but you still talk about them like they're still kids. Aizawa felt a tick form on his forehead on the repeated use of Grandpa. Yet, at the same time, his chest was filled with a feeling he couldn't quite name. His kids were still close to him after graduation. That was good enough for him. Stop calling me Grandpa. Wait, we? Yeah, my friends. There's Hiro, Uncle A, and Auntie Mina's son, Sana, Uncle Denki, and Uncle Hitoshi's daughter. Unconsciously, Kai started swinging their joined hands, and Aizawa melted. Bakugo and Midoriya's kid was so comfortable with him. All of them are your age? Some are older, like Auntie Momo's son, Reini, and Sana is my best friend. His cheeks tinted red at her name. So, what are they like in your time? Daddy and Papa are a hero duo. Uncle Toshi is an underground hero like you. He basically dominates it. Uncle Yugo is a hero as well. Has his own boutique and clothing line, kind of like Papazashi handling 3 jobs. Erini is a rising hero and she's going to get married soon. Oh no, I can't show up to the wedding with a bruised arm. She's gonna have my head. Yikes. Aizawa came to a screeching halt. Eri is getting married? Oh yeah, future you isn't happy about it either. Apparently he had spoken that out loud. A million questions were going through his head per millisecond. Before he could even ask anything more and potentially harm the future groom, they reached the dorms. Aizawa entered the dorms to find the same, as usual, utterly chaotic. Sarah was spouting tape and Ashida was using it as an aerial dance. Kaminari and Yudaraka were causing a fire in the kitchen, or trying to put it out. It was hard to tell. Frantically cleaning up before Bakugo came to kill them all. Class, gather around. Get everyone out of their rooms. I have an announcement. Are you finally going to admit that you're the head of the feline mafia? Kaminari asked, chuckling, quieting after Aizawa flashed his red eyes. They called that the expulsion look. Once everyone had gathered around, he explained the situation to them. So now Bakugo's future child is stuck in our time indefinitely? Wait a minute. Bakugo reproduces? Was the last word from Kirishima before he fainted. The class was spellbound, finally noticing the little ash blonde next to Aizawa's leg. Bakugo was dumbstruck. Kai, being the cheeky little devil, "Hi, Daddy," he waved with a lopsided grin, undoubtedly identical to Bakugo. The class kept looking back and forward from Bakugo to Kai, taking in the similarities. Aizawa covered his ears, knowing that his class collectively shared one brain cell. Hell broke loose. "Whoa! Blasty, he looks exactly like you!" Ashido came forward to pinch the little guy's cheeks. "You are so cute. I could just eat you up." "Ochako-chan, please don't, kiddo." "Hey, little man. Nice to meet you. All of us must be responsible students and not overwhelm the young visitor. Aizawa-sensei, as class president, I shall take utmost care of our tiny guests." "I'm not tiny," he grumbled, cheeks still being assaulted by the girls now. Bakugo stood there, frozen in place, hands mutely trembling. Something Aizawa noticed. He seemed scared. Worried? "I can't have a biological child. I'm gay." After an eternity, Bakugo finally found his voice. If anyone commented on how his voice cracked, he blamed it on adolescence. Kai pointed towards himself. "Quirk baby. Still not possible. He can't have a child and be number one at the same time. He wouldn't even know how to be a father." Bakugo was sure he was going to scar this kid. He was by no means gentle. "Guess my name then, Daddy." "You were the one who chose it for me." Bakugo would have probably named him Explosion Murder Jr. Sarah laughed, pouring a glass of water on the unconscious Kirishima. "Do you want me to tell them when exactly you chose my name?" he asked Bakugo, clearly enjoying the racket. His papa had given him all the embarrassing blackmail he needed to get out of timeout. Bakugo's ears tinted red. If this really was his kid, then Kai. Bingo! Aizawa was surprised. So Kai wasn't exaggerating when he said Bakugo had picked his name out in middle school. He hoisted his capture weapon higher, hiding his smirk from his class. Who would have thought? Bakugo dreamed of a family. He seemed too goal-driven on the outside. Bakugo freaking Katsuki, who had such a tacky hero name in mind for himself, had actually given thought and decided his future kid's name way back when he was 14. Okay, I'm going to say this one last time, Kids Meal. I am not your father, he stubbornly denied. I don't deserve such a nice kid. Alright, everybody, quiet down. Bakugo, we ran DNA tests. He is your son, so you are responsible for him till we figure out a way to send him back to future you. In class, nobody is to bother Kai on information about the future. It could drastically alter the timeline and possibly erase him out of existence. He flashed his quirk for more emphasis. Ida, Yayorozu, take charge. I need to go meet Nezu. With that, he stalked out, but not before Kai decided to embarrass him more. Bye, Grandpa Sho! Aizawa tripped, almost face-planting on the floor. He steadied himself as he glared at the time traveler, red face losing the effect of his glare. The class seemed to pick up on what was going on and howled with laughter. Aizawa scurried off, slamming the door behind him. Kai scanned Bakugo from head to toe, taking in the differences of his dad's appearance compared to his teenage years. Huh. You look young, Daddy. You calling me old brat? Duh. Kai's stomach rumbled, making the girls coo. He didn't want to have breakfast to save space for candy. Well, that plan went down the drain. He turned to Bakugo. I'm hungry. Feed me. What the? He stopped himself in time. I am not making you anything. What? You can't cook? He knew his dad prided himself in his culinary skills, maybe more than his hero ranking. Of course I can. You want to eat? Go cook it yourself. Bakugo did not want to spend more time than necessary with his kid. However, he was in the future. He definitely not fit to be a father now. He didn't trust himself and was scared to unintentionally say anything that might make the kid hate him. He did not want to repeat what happened with Midoriya. Bakugo, he's your child. Yeah, and also I'm banned from the kitchen till I'm 30. Says who? He cocked his eyebrow. Says you. I almost burned down the house once trying to cook for your birthday. You banned me and Papa ever since. Kaminori's face suddenly contorted as if he obtained Nirvana. Wait a darnly minute. Who's Kaya's Papa? He pulled the resident conspiracy theory to go observe the father-son duo. Okay, Todoroki, use that weird brain of yours and hit me with theories. Technically, my theories aren't solid objects to be thrown around. I can't hit you with them. Dude, no offense, but you are dumber than me. Kai got down to help his dad cook. Momo made him a tiny apron he looked absolutely adorable in. Bakugo may or may not have secretly taken a few pictures. The class was surprised as Bakugo never let anyone in the kitchen when he was cooking, not even Aizawa. Kai seemed to know exactly which ingredients went where, as if they made the recipe countless times before. They even wiped the sweat off of each other's forehead at the same time. Kai really was a mini-me. Kai seemed to adapt to the situation easily. He behaved as if the 16-year-old Katsuki was the same as his dad back home, although he adamantly refused to reveal who his other parent was. I know that look, Charge Bolt and Hail Frost. Are you trying to figure out who Daddy married? Not happening. I'm just going to call everyone by their hero names. Oh man, I wanted to know who that unfortunate person is who married Blasty. Shut up, you low-budget Pikachu. And you, he turned to Kai. You are 6. Still calling me daddy? Jeez, grow up. He sneered. Kai thought, having grown up seeing that face instinctively, he knew that it wasn't anger, but insecurity. Call it a son's intuition. It wasn't a jab. It was a hopeful wish. Geez, no wonder his parents' communication was so out of whack. Bakugo was so hell-bent on showing the opposite of emotions he felt. Bakugo! Ashido frowned. Even though he had no attachment to Kai, future Bakugo clearly loved his son. She hoped his actions won't harm their relationship. Too far, man. Not manly, bro. Kai didn't seem to mind. It is embarrassing to call you daddy. Hey, I tried to switch to calling you dad, but somebody started bawling their eyes out, saying that their baby boy is growing distant. He rolled his eyes. He tried to act grown up and called his dad one day during breakfast, tears forming in his eyes faster than a Midoriya. Oh my god, Bakugo, that is golden. Sarah was kneeling over, shaking with laughter. You fucking... Kai plopped down on his lap before Bakugo could complete his sentence. Much to the latter's indignation, he tried to push himself, but one glare from Momo, he stopped. His hand's broken, Bakugo. Don't jolt him so much. Yeah, my hand's broken, like Deku, he muttered, the class laughing along with Kai at Midoriya's red face. It was weird calling his papa by his hero name, but oh well. I am here, a loud voice, quite familiar to Kai, echoed through the hallways. All Might had heard about the little guest from Aizawa and rushed to see for himself. He entered in muscle form, barely holding it before breaking into his skeleton form. I came to see young Bakugo's future son. He saw Kai on his lap and his heart did a somersault. It should be illegal to be this cute. Kai gave him a toothy grin. Hi, Grandpa Nori. He hopped down to hug the older man's leg. Rip All Might, cause of death, cuteness overload. Wait, Grandpa? He asked, perplexed. Kai nodded. You are like a father to all of them, he gestured at the class. So naturally, a grandpa to us, their kids. Well, then, I hope I'm a good grandpa and spoil you people rotten. Kai giggled into his hands. We spent a lot of time together since our parents are pro heroes. You are like our unofficial babysitter. All Might smiled, happy that he still has importance in their lives. Oh, I brought someone to meet you. From behind his leg, Erie popped out. Erie! Kai went to hug his sister. Erie had the entire situation explained to her, being given the responsibility of older sister. She took her role seriously. She brought all sorts of crayons and colors to share with her newly acquired baby brother. They were only a year apart right now. All Might also had to drag away a confused Eri when Aizawa started explaining how marriage was bad and she was, under any circumstance, never to get married. The hypocrisy. Hi, Kai. Daddy, look! Mini Eri-ni! He was excited to see his favorite sibling so tiny like him. He saw her less now that she was so busy with hero work. Brat, don't squeeze the air out of her lungs! Kai jumped back into Bakugo's lap, bickering with him and making faces. Watching Bakugo interact with Kai filled All Might with immense satisfaction. He was content and really happy to see Bakugo was well in the future. He constantly worried about the most explosive student, young Bakugo. He spoke in a low tone. All of a sudden, Mew Mew flowers surrounded him. I am proud of you. Soon, Recover Girl's treatment caught up to him, and soft snores were heard from Bakugo's lap. Kai was curled up into his father's chest, leaning into the familiar warmth. Bakugo unconsciously wrapped an arm around his torso to steady him. He glared at anyone who dared to make a noise to disturb his son. He wordlessly got up and took him to his room. He laid down the kid with tender care that even took him by surprise. He quietly closed the door to see his boyfriend waiting, greeting him with a soft smile. The smile was the reason Bakugo fell hard. Hey, Kachan. Is Kai-chan asleep? Izuku inquired. Everyone had taken quite a liking to the little firecracker. Yeah, the brat just dozed off. Silence enveloped them, nervously glancing around. Listen, Both spoke at the same time, breaking with a nervous laugh between them. We need to talk, Kachan. Agreed. They made their way to Ground Beta. There was something about this place that poured out emotion from them. Words they couldn't find seamlessly flowed out like a perfect melody. Ever since they had that fight after the provincial license exam, communication became much easier. So, Izuku started, rocking back and forward on his heels, clearly nervous. Your son seems like a wonderful child. He could be your son too, dies on his lips. They had recently started dating and were taking things very slow. They still didn't tell anyone about the relationship, even though it's been 4 months. But he couldn't help but hope. Bakugo and Midoriya both had apologized and strived to do better. But change never came overnight. Bakugo for the countless years of torment, and Midoriya for his self-sacrificing tendencies, both of them were still a work in progress. Listen, Kachan, I really like you, but I don't want you to live worried about the future all the time. I'm happy the way things are right now. And by Kai's story, it looks like you're happy too. So whatever the future has in store for us, let it come in its own pace and time. Kachan, I'm really done with the years of miscommunication and constantly trying to match our paces. We finally on the same page. I don't want that to be ruined. Nor do I, Izuku. But it could be that you or Kai's don't finish it. I don't want false hopes. But not saying that this relationship is hopeless. Don't get me wrong, but we still have a lot to experience together. If or if not have a place in Kai's life. It's for tomorrow. Can we just say the way that we are, not worrying where our relationship will take us? Kind of the point of it, right? That thrill and rush of uncertainty. The younger, less wiser Bakugo would have misinterpreted Midoriya's doubt. He would have blasted him and spewed profanities, possibly ruining their relationship beyond repair. But he knew better now. He knew that Izuku was trying to say, for the first time, he understood. He shot him a trademark smirk. Back at you, nerd. But let me make one thing fucking very clear. This is not a fling. I am damn serious about us. Smiling, he tugged his wrists, pulling him closer. I know, Kachan. I know. Midoriya leaned forward, pulling his chin down for a kiss. His fingers trailed down Bakugo's collar, pulling him up as close as possible. Smirking into the kiss, he dragged a lazy hand up his spine, tangling themselves tight in curly green locks, deepening the kiss. The two stayed like that for a while, completely enamored and immersed into each other. The next day, similarities between the two became more evident. It was hilarious. The way they sneezed, the same pout, the brooding face. Yosh, we need to go shopping for Kai. Ashido made it a mission to spoil her nephew after he accidentally called her Auntie Mina. In his defense, they were up playing all night, and they spoke to him before his morning breakfast. Kai usually slept through breakfast, face often planted in his cereal bowl. Ashido, Midoriya, and Momo were surrounding Kai, who clearly wanted to get out of these sticky clothes. Why can't Ponytail just make some for him? Bakugo was still scared to get close to Kai. He didn't want to spend more time and possibly hurt his feelings. She feigned shock, appalled at the request. I could never, sir. It would ruin the economy. You just want an excuse to shop. The gang guiltily looked down. Bakugo sighed. There was no stopping them. Shopping made them go crazier than a herd of bulls. Like a wise man, go ahead then. You're coming along too, Kachan. What the The cinnamon gang glared at him, daring him to swear in front of Kai. What the frick? Why should I come? 'Cause you are the dad, Blasty. I'll also tag along. I need an excuse to waste Endeavor's money. Might as well spoil my nephew. Todoroki gave Kai one of his rare fond smiles. He is not your nephew, Icy Hot. Bakugo wasn't going to let any child of his interact with a Todoroki. Actually, he's my godfather. He is registered as my legal guardian in case of the unforeseen emergencies. See, Bakugo, I told you we were friends. Shut up. Bakugo would take this to his grave, but he secretly looked out for Todoroki. He kept searching for any suspicious scars ever since he started going home every day. Ashido clapped her hands, grabbing everyone's attention. All right, let's go make Endeavor broke. You mean Endure Horror? Kai-chan! Midoriya reprimanded, biting his lip from laughing. So the class did not stop their habits of calling that fire trash Endeavor Horror even in the future. It gave him a sense of security that they all remained friends even in the future. What? It's the only swear word I'm allowed. It is Grandpa Show approved, too. Aizawa-sensei? Oh yeah, he hates that man. That's how Bakugo found himself holding shopping bags and following the gang as they decided to buy the whole mall. That's right, they lived dangerously. Kai tried on various clothes and striking a pose every time he came out of the trial room. Even Bakugo silently cooed at his cute kid. He may or may not have a few more pictures of his son in the secret album. At one point, Kai didn't come out of the trial room for a long time. Kai-chan, Kai-chan, are you okay? Ashido asks, getting worried now. No. A small whine came out. Kai came out with the shirt stuck above his head, arms knotted together. Daddy, I'm stuck. He sounded like a kicked puppy. Bakugo chuckled and crouched down to help him get his shirt undone. Kai gave him a sheepish smile. The gang behind him smiled fondly. Bakugo was finally leaving behind his insecurities and indulging himself. Bakugo's face mirrored a smirk. So, you like this one? Yep. Reminds me of your hero costume. He got a black t-shirt with orange and green lines. Bakugo's face turned red as a tomato as Kai went back in to change. Aw, Blasty, you are your son's favorite hero. Ashido nudged him with her elbow, teasing the proud dad with them. Shut up. But it lacked the usual bite. Alright, let's go build this stuff and go home. Todoroki gathered the clothes he selected. They were walking towards the bill counter when Midoriya let out a startled cry. Where is Kai-chan? He's not with you? Shit. We should split up and search. Bakugo's vision tunneled, panicking. He frantically ran down aisles, searching for his kid. Wow. Even in the most intense villain situations, Bakugo has never lost his cool. Kaminari commented at Bakugo, who rushed without waiting for anyone. Bakugo had never shown fear evidently before, always wearing an indifferent mask. Because his son wasn't at risk at the time. Momo replied. She knew the blonde kept his loved ones close to his heart, putting them before his own well-being. They were searching for a while when an announcement blared across the mall. Father of Bakugo Kai, please come collect your son at Lawston. Shitty daddy, you lost me. Come and get me. Kai's voice screeched through the mic. His voice croaked. Bakugo ran, a relief flooding through him at hearing his son's voice. They reached to see Kai angrily pouting near the counter, the receptionist guy trying to cheer him up with a lollipop. His eyes were watery. As soon as he saw his dad, he puffed his cheeks and turned away, going straight to Midoriya. Midoriya picked him up, Kai bearing his head into his shoulder, stubbornly refusing to look at Bakugo. Kai, come here. He tried to take him from Midoriya, but the boy wouldn't budge. He refused, being stubborn as Bakugo. Midoriya's sweat dropped at the duo. Stupid daddy. I won't talk to you. Why? You lost me. You left me alone, he whimpered, a fresh bout of tears streaking his face. Bakugo took Kai in his arms. He thrashed around, clinging to Midoriya's shirt, but ultimately gave in. He soon buried his head in Bakugo's shoulder, a choked sob escaping him. Stupid daddy, you left me all alone in the crowd. I was so alone. He sniffled weakly, hitting him. Bakugo rubbed his back, tears brimming at his son's broken voice. Yeah, that was stupid of me. Sorry, Firecracker. I'll be careful next time. His classmates were shocked. They had never heard Bakugo talk so softly before. They look cute together, don't they? Todoroki smiled, everyone silently agreeing with him. Kai whined, still crying. Want to have the best fucking ice cream in town? He perked up at that, lifting his head to look at Bakugo clearly. Ice cream? Whatever flavor you want. 2 scoops. Don't push it, kid. Both chuckled at that. Okay, let's pay for the stuff and go. They soon reached the dorms, Kai happily licking his ice cream cone, sitting on top of Bakugo's shoulders. Shinto was reading in the common room when they entered. He smiled up at Kai. I take it the shopping trip went well? Look, we bought so many things. Both Kai and Kaminari sat down to show Shinto every little thing they bought. Kai fell silent, feeling a little queasy. You alright, little guy? Shinto asked, worried when Kai turned pale, clutching his stomach. Crying, he raised his hand in Bakugo's direction. Daddy, it hurts. It could stop. Without wasting another second, he scooped him up in his arms and rocking him back and forth. He placed a hand on his forehead. He is feverish. We should go to Recovery Girl. Kai, a little delusional from the fever, started crying for his papa. He extended his arms towards Midoriya, who, panicked, did not notice. However, Shinso did. Interesting. Recovery Girl took him inside. At this point, Kai was violently thrashing around, screaming in pain. Bakugo became hysterical at the sight of his son struggling. He went out for fresh air, leaving Midoriya inside to take care of him. He was rattled to the core, shivering when Aizawa came in. He saw him rocking back and forward on his heels, fingers digging deep into his palms. He placed a hand on his student's shoulder, who just realized his presence. Bakugo hastily wiped away the tears. Kai, it's fine, Bakugo. I almost killed my child. I fucking put him in pain. I am gonna be a horrible dad. He doesn't deserve this. He took a shaky breath, tears freely flowing down now. Hey. You didn't know about his allergy. It wasn't your fault. Kai is strong. He'll be alright in no time. Bakugo nodded and goes to check up on Kai. He saw him soundly asleep on the bed. Recovery Girl came in holding a nutrition bar. Nothing life-threatening. He had a mild reaction to nuts, so it was the ice cream. It was more the shock than the pain that made Kai cry. He most probably will grow out of this allergy soon. See, Kai-chan? Kai-chan is perfectly alright. Bakugo simply nodded, not trusting his voice. I'll give you two some privacy. On his way out, he felt a callous hand grab his wrist. Bakugo pulled Midoriya into a tight hug, taking in a deep breath. Thank you. Remained unspoken. Midoriya squeezed his shoulders and closed the door. Guilt-ridden Bakugo slowly walked up to the side of his bed. Kai stirred awake at the noise. He gave Bakugo a weak but nevertheless a bright smile. Hi, Daddy. Hi, Firecracker. The little brat had wormed his way into his heart so quickly. He brushed the hair out of his eyes. See, Daddy, I am strong, like a hero. Yeah, buddy, you are really brave. He smiled, ruffling the little's hair. Son of the number one dad, after all, he sleepily replied. Somehow, being the number one dad felt more satisfying than the thought of being the number one hero had ever been. He leaned forward to softly press a kiss on his forehead. He stayed by his kid all night. Bakugo! Bakugo! Bakugo sleepily opened his eyes to see his teacher crouching in front of him. Beside him, Kai was happily munching on toast. Midoriya beside him. Huh? Recovery Girl said Kai is alright now. He can leave the infirmary now. Yes, I am all healed now. Bakugo smiled. He had been doing that quite often in the last couple of days. That's great news, brat. They walked to the dorms, Kai holding both Bakugo and Midoriya's hand, jumping between them. Aizawa sneakily took a family picture. It would be a nice wedding gift, right? The class soon surrounded the little guy, having been worried sick all night. After they saw him laughing and running around, they took a big sigh of relief. All of a sudden, a bright flash filled the room. A tall blonde ran in with Aizawa? Kai! He looked around until his sights narrowed on the little troublemaker. Daddy! Kai got up and ran into his father's arms. Older Bakugo picked him up, peppering his face with kisses, tears of relief brimming at the corners of his eyes. Both Aizawas, hardly interested in the other, just gave a brief nod. How many fucking times have I told you to not leave the house alone? Look what happened. It's okay. I was with younger you. That does absolutely nothing to ease my worries. Hey! Young Bakugo exclaimed. Meanwhile, Midoriya was having a gay panic attack. Oh my god! Kacchan grew up hot? He thought. Midoriya found his Kachan hot enough, but grown-up Bakugo was next level sexy. With a well-defined lean arms, those abs, his slick back hair, those abs, the tiny hint of stubble on his chin, those abs. That low gravelly voice, did he mention those abs? Older Bakugo felt his gaze and turned to see Midoriya openly checking him out. Chuckling under his breath, he winked at him. Midoriya forgot to breathe. Older Bakugo, no matter how fun it was to tease younger version of his husband, wanted to go back home. He had spent the last 3 days searching for his boy. What do you say, Firecracker? Shall we go home? Yeah, I miss Papa. Did his son blabber everything? Don't worry, Bakugo. He didn't reveal who the other parent was. Aizawa reassured him. Well, I owe you all for taking care of Kai when I couldn't. Thank you. He bowed slightly, Kai still in his arms. Older Aizawa felt nostalgic seeing the kids all young again. He waved, a tiny rare smile reserved for only them, stretching across his lips. Daddy, young you took good care of me, although he did lose me in the mall and gave me nuts. Bakugo glared at his younger self, parental instincts flaring up. Before Bakugo can break his own nose, a thick scarf shot across him, capturing him. No matter how many times Aizawa did that, it never got old. Now, Katsuki, you've lost your nieces and nephews plenty of times at the mall. Not to mention the time we actually got to know about Kai's allergy. Older Aizawa spoken, giving him his dad glare. I hate it when you're right, Dad, he grumbled. Come on, let's not keep Izuku waiting. He stepped back into the portal, being kept open from the other side. What? Why Izuku specifically? Todoroki wondered out loud when the gears in Shinso's brain clicked. Now I get it, he mumbled under his breath. One last thing, young me. Keep your ego aside when you talk to him, he advised and walked away. He didn't have to explain more. Midoriya was the chef priority for both Bakugos. Bye, small daddy, uncles, auntie, and Grandpa Sho. He waved as Bakugo stepped into the portal. As soon as they disappear, Bakugo felt his heart constrict. He was gonna miss that little brat. Don't worry, Bakugo. You'll see him in 6 years. Shinso clapped his shoulder. Bakugo smirked, nodding at the sleep-deprived boy. He had other things to worry about now. He had to catch up on all his training and studies he missed over the last couple of days. He strived to work 10 times harder. He has to make his future son proud, after all. Oh my god, that was so sweet. It was so cute. Oh. Also, this took fucking forever. Like, what is this? I think I'm going to edit like a whole more than an hour of content. So this is probably going to be like 40 something minutes long of a video. But oh well. I'll get it done. So if you want to see more or hear more of me reading these sweet stories and angsty stories, you know what to do.